Today's episode is all about cozy fall vibes, and we will be creating a fireplace surround and a coffee bar to take you from summer to fall. So let's get going. If you love to live an upscale lifestyle on a downsized budget, I am here for you at Skip to My Life. We're going to start our fall DIY decor with this hot drink coffee cart. Now you can adapt this to a coffee bar or whatever you have. I'm starting by picking up some of that peel and stick wallpaper, also some of the poster board foam core from Dollar Tree, and then I'm just using this wire cart that I normally use for my craft supplies. I purchased this at Michael's. I'll start by covering the mesh with the foam core covered with the wallpaper, peel and stick. And on the bottom tier of this cart, I am going to put 2 large glass jars, one filled with coffee and one filled with coffee pods. These I have had in my home for many years, and I purchased them at Walmart. You'll want to make sure and watch all the way to the end of this video. My 2 long-haired dachshunds make mini shout-outs to your fur babies during this episode. As you can see, the coffee maker that I wanted to use on the top tier just did not fit comfortably, so I am going to put it on a little pedestal. This is just a plastic drawer divider turned upside down, and I fitted that foam core so that it covers up that pedestal, and then I'm going to make a separate pedestal and keep watching to see what I'm going to be using that for. If you're new to Skip to My Life, a great big welcome. I am so glad that we found each other. We have so much fun here decorating our small space and rental homes and making them a haven. Now that I've covered that foam core pedestal with the peel and stick wallpaper, I am able to comfortably take that coffee pot in and out. On the top level of this tray, we will have our coffee and some other things I'll show you in a minute. And on the bottom, we have those 2 large glass containers filled with coffee and coffee pods. So now on the middle, I am going to show you how to make a really inexpensive Lazy Susan using 2 cake plates from Dollar Tree. Now, these are the cake plates and not the pie plates. Do not get the pie plates because they have an angle that does not work as well. So all you're going to do is pour some BBs that I purchased at Walmart Sporting Goods in the middle, and you have a beautiful little Lazy Susan for very inexpensive. On the middle shelf, we're going to store all of our flavorings and all the things that make these kind of coffee carts and coffee bars so special. And I'm just using these peel and stick letters from Dollar Tree. I do not own a Cricut, and so this is how I label most of the things that I make. I'm going to be filling those pour jars from Dollar Tree. These were 2 for $1. I guess they're 2 for $1.25 now. This is an item you're going to find in the summer, so if you do see them, I would stock up because I don't always see them later in the year. I also saw these 3 flavorings for fall coffees, and I picked those 3 up. Well, you're going to want to make sure and watch this video all the way through because it is chock full of fall inspiration for you. Not just this little fall coffee cart, but also a surround for my fireplace. For some reason, these chocolates got me thinking of s'mores, and I did happen upon some s'mores Pop-Tarts that would be so yummy on this drink cart. These are 2 glass jars that I purchased from Dollar Tree some time ago, and I had spray painted those lids black for another project. I'm just going to leave them black, put some chocolate in one and marshmallows in another for a toasty and yummy little hot chocolate. I purchased these 3 Lucite boxes from Dollar Tree, and let me tell you that at $1.25, these are a steal. If you go to a store like Organized Living, you are going to pay probably 3 to 4 times that amount for a similar type item. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I've made several more traditional coffee bars in the past, but I thought that this would be a fun twist since it has wheels. We can take it wherever we'd like to. I know my husband and I often make a fire in our patio, and this would be a fun little cart to bring out on cold fall nights. These little ceramic place card holders can also be used as napkin rings, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Dollar Tree is also carrying some adorable fall fabric. Now this is a small batch of fabric. It's not going to make a huge project, but it's perfect for what I had in mind. wanted to show you how big one piece of fabric is, just in case you decide to use one piece per napkin. But in this project, I'm going to be cutting it in quarters and using smaller napkins. With a sharp pair of scissors, you will just follow those fold lines, cut it in half, and then cut it in half again, and you will have 4 square napkin shapes. Today's question is, what is your favorite flavor of coffee for fall? Are you a coffee drinker? Are you a tea drinker? What are the flavors that you really love when fall comes around? These ceramic pumpkin place card holders were new to me this year. I've never seen them before, but I thought that they were a wonderful addition at Dollar Tree and also for our coffee cart. When it comes to mugs, Dollar Tree definitely has you covered, especially for these neutral tones. I know that this year the fall colors are going to be more muted and less bright and traditional. So here comes the really fun part. We get to put the whole thing together, and I will tell you that I am doing this in front of the fireplace, and this is traditionally where my dogs like to play, on this little rug. So they were very, very curious about what I was doing. I topped it off with a couple of pieces that I found at Target Dollar Spot. This is an ideal setup for us because if we're having company or even just someone over for dinner or dessert, we can take the coffee out to the places where we're sitting and we don't have to worry about continuing to run back and forth to the kitchen. So let me know if this idea appeals to you for the way your house is set up and how you think you could make it work. If you would like my dachshunds to leave your fur baby a shout out, then leave your pet's name in the comments below. Well, you probably noticed that the background to this coffee cart is a nice, cozy fireplace surround, and we're going to be talking about how I made that happen next. I'm going to show you how to make some really economical and easy to do pumpkins using t-shirts from Dollar Tree. Now, Dollar Tree has t-shirts in all different colors and sizes, and I chose a light gray and a dark gray to stay with this neutral, kind of a boho theme. I used this large bowl to trace a circle the size that I wanted my pumpkin fabric to be, and you could probably get 4 to 6 pumpkins from one t-shirt, just depending on the size that you use, especially if you want to vary the sizes. Next, we'll use a toilet paper or paper towel roll for the middle of that pumpkin, and then I'm using some of those plastic shopping bags as my filling. Now, I know that you can use fiberfill for the middle of these, but what I'm looking to do is repurpose some materials to make these pumpkins light and easy to make. Next, I'm simply stretching that t-shirt fabric across and glue gunning it to the center of that circle, and you can do this in a crisscross fashion to make it a little bit easier and to make that pumpkin more symmetrical. Now, I have to be honest, I am not a fan of these plastic shopping bags, and I usually try to use one that's not disposable, but I think we all just attract these bags. Sooner or later, we find ourselves with lots of them, so this is a great purpose for them. If you don't have fiberfill and you don't have plastic shopping bags, you could also use just crumpled up newspapers. It works great, and it's a great repurposing for that recycling material. For my contrasting fabric, I picked up one of these polka dotted gray scarves from Dollar Tree, and I am going to make another size pumpkin from one of these, but then I'm also going to show you a third recycling idea for your pumpkins. Simply cut the lid off a plastic water bottle, and you can use that form the same way that we did the other pumpkins. Just pull the fabric up and around and hot glue it to the center there. And now you have a really cute little contrasting pumpkin that's kind of a skinny guy, and he's going to go in and around the other more traditional shaped pumpkins. Now let's make some leaves using that contrasting polka dotted fabric. So I'm taking a scrap piece of poster board and I'm painting it with a mixture of school glue and water. And then I'm going to lay that scarf over the top, and I'm going to add another layer of that glue and water mixture. Now once this is dried, it's going to become a stiffer fabric, and we're going to construct some contrasting leaves for our pumpkins. You can try this idea with any kind of scarf material, but let me give you a little tip. Use the shiny side of the poster board, because if you don't, you may end up ripping off a little bit of that poster board onto your fabric, like you'll see that I did. Next, we'll just be cutting out some leaf shapes from this stiffer fabric, and the next step will be to attach a little piece of wire to each leaf. Now, if you don't want to go to all the trouble of making these leaves, you could certainly use some ribbon and just cut it in the shape of leaves. You could use some leaves from some silk flowers, anything that you want to do that's a little simpler, but I just thought that the contrast was worth the extra work. To finish those leaves, I just painted with some white chalk paint, some veining and some edging on those leaves, and now we're ready to attach them to our pumpkins. I'm showing you the materials that I purchased from Dollar Tree, but truly these projects are ones that you probably already have most, or if not all, of the materials in your home lying around, and this is just a new way to think of decorating for the holidays. For the stem on these pumpkins, I'm going to use a black leather belt that broke. It was my husband's belt, and he was going to pitch it, and I said, no, wait, I'm going to use that for a craft project one of these days. So I cut off little pieces. I was able to just cut those with scissors, and I glue gunned them together for a stem, and voila, I think we have a really cute, trendy, and high-end looking pumpkin. Another style of pumpkin that we're going to be using on my fireplace surround is of concrete look pumpkin. Now I am going to be using these bowls you can purchase from Target or Walmart for 50 cents a piece. I have two different sizes, one that's more flat and one that's more round. I'll be gluing them together to form a pumpkin shape. I just used hot glue for this project, but I would recommend, if you're going to do it, that you use E6000, because that would be a much more firm hold. Now, honestly, I kind of like the plain look of them as they are, but I decided I wanted to duplicate the look of those trendy concrete pumpkins. So I took some spackling from Dollar Tree and thinned it out a little bit with some school glue, and I am just painting all over to camouflage those edges. I did end up having to put about 3 coats of this on and letting it dry for a few hours in between each coat. Once the bowls had completely dried, I'm going to be spray painting them a slate blue color. Next, I'm adding some texture by spray painting the white lines along the sides of those pumpkins, just to give them a little bit more dimension. For my final shading, I'll go in with some black chalk paint and just define the lines around those pumpkins and make them look a little bit more like concrete. Now, when you do this step, make sure that you paint on some color and then blend it really well and make sure you're happy with it, and just take your time and have fun. And then I also attach the leather stem to each of these pumpkins just to tie them in with all the rest of the bunch. I'm starting the fall season with these really neutral colors. I also think that these pumpkins will be fun come Halloween time, but I will be bringing out some of my more traditional orange pumpkins and those types of colors as the season progresses. And here's another a little bit easier idea for those leaves, just using some faux silk leaves. And here's what it looks like all pulled together on my hearth. Now, for the finishing piece, we're going to be making a tin look bucket using one of these plastic buckets from Dollar Tree. I love the size and function of these buckets, but they do not look high-end at all. They look very plasticky. So we're going to start by sanding off a little of that sheen and then spray painting it in that same blue that we did the last pumpkin. Now I'll go in and sand the edges, and then I will apply some texture by putting some gray coloring in. And to finish it off, I will go around all the edges with white to make it look like an authentic tin bucket. I'm going to show you the finished product in just a minute, and this fireplace surround was something that I made out of boxes. And so if you're interested, if you have a rental or a small space that you're decorating and you're making a faux fireplace or a faux mantle, just click on the link I've provided to the episode below and you will see how I constructed this one. Here's our cozy fireplace with a hot cocoa or coffee bar ready to go for the first crisp fall day. If you want even more coffee bar inspiration, just click on the video I've provided and you'll get lots of bonus tips. But until we see each other next time, I have a message for you. Do not give up, because today is not the end of your story.